There you go.
So, Max is my name, and
Planning is your game?
planning is my name. But my lightning talk is on planning. I thought I would start off by sharing a couple of my favorite quotes in the last 30 minutes on planning. A goal without a plan is just a wish, and that is by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And Failing to Prepare, You Are Preparing to Fail by Benjamin Franklin. And of course, a close one to that is Fail to Plan, Plan to Fail by Hillary Rodham Clinton. And one of the ones I really liked is, in preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Which I feel like these quotes kind of encompass a lot about planning in general. When it comes to projects, planning is the most important part of any project. Without it, the rest just falls apart because everything relies on what you planned in the first place. Planning defines your goals and your strategies, and it gives you the confidence to move forward with anything. And that applies to any project, whether in life or at work. If you want to go on vacation, even the most relaxed vacation. I am a fly by the seat of your pants vacationer. I like to just pick a spot, have book a room, and then the rest is, wait and see what happens. My wife, on the other hand, is needs to know what's going to happen at 1:30, and then at 1:35, and then 1:40. And she likes to have a full itinerary, and between the two of us, we usually come up with a pretty good vacation. But I have learned to appreciate that level of detail in planning. I always, when it comes to making plans, it depends on the project you're working on. Sometimes you need a great level of detail, and sometimes you don't need so much. But knowing how much detail to put in is a key to any plan, but it shouldn't be the thing that you most worry about. Use the information you have to make the best decisions you can and move forward with that. There's two ways to plan, either from the end or from the beginning. I learned that the best times to use backwards end to front planning is when you have fixed time and you already know what the outcome is. So if you're building a building, planning from the end of the building and calculating how much time and effort it takes lets you know where you should start. It also lets you know when you've started too late or if you haven't thought through enough. Planning from beginning to end is good if you've got an undefined product, which I find happens a lot in software, where you have an end goal, but maybe not a strictly defined amount of stuff. In which case, when it comes to those kinds of plans, there's the one form of planning that I learned is called rolling wave planning, which is you have an end goal and you plan as far as you can see, and then you get to that end, and then you plan a little further ahead until you finally reach the very end of whatever your goal happens to be. And actually, I think that's about all I have on planning. But it's all I have planned. But if I have to leave you guys with anything, it's always make a plan. Whether or not that plan fails, whether or not that plan succeeds or fails, won't matter as much as making that plan in the first place. I have seen projects where people decide to just run by the seat of their pants because they've had X years of experience, and they fail miserably because they don't have a specific goal in mind or a specific target or anything.
Wife
like
who
that.
makes them plan more.
Wife who makes them plan more. But regardless of where you want to apply it, planning is something that everybody does to a certain degree, and it's something that we should all strive to do better because it just helps with life in general. That's it.
Thank you, Max. Stay there. Questions for Max?
Shoot.
So if you find out that things didn't turn out as planned, what do you do?
Things not turning out as planned. Plan for that.
Well, that's not trite.
No. Okay. Things often don't turn out as planned, but you can always just
Make a new plan, or
no. It depends. If it's a big enough deal, you might be able to let it go. If it's not, you change your plans. But always learn from those mistakes in planning. Whether you'll either learn not to spend as much time planning or spend a little more time planning and getting a better result. Yes.
What's the most complex thing you've ever done?
The most complex thing I have ever planned would
BPTs.
Speaking of things that change.
Your wedding.
No, that was fairly simple. I turned to my wife and I said, "We're getting married on this date." The most complex thing. It depends on what you consider complex.
You're wavering. Come on.
I would say a substation up in the middle of British Columbia. It was really complicated. It was really
All right. So here's your easy question.
Sure.
I've heard, or thought, or made up, one of the three, the fact that once you've chosen a tool to aid in your planning, it starts to define how the planning will work. What's your opinion on that? Is that positive or is that negative?
I have never heard this, but thinking about it, it does make sense. And as far as positive or negative, it's neither. Tools are not good or evil, just the people who use them are. But even when it comes to planning,
That's not what you say about Excel.
even when it comes to planning, every tool has its limits. And it depends on how much, the more limits you have on your tool for your project, the more time you have to spend planning, and the more effort you'll have to spend planning. And it's up to the individual or group to decide if they can afford that time.
So just so we're clear, using a tool to help you plan
Yes.
will take more time in planning.
No.
That's what you said.
Using a tool, using the wrong tool for a project, using the wrong tool for the project you're planning will take more time and effort. Using the right tools for that project is key. But again, it's up to those individuals planning to decide what tool that is and how much effort they want to put into it.
I was to say, that was not an easy question.
Oh, so you couldn't
A
catch
big
the sarcasm.
philosophical-
You couldn't catch the sarcasm there.
I did not.
What tools are in your planning toolkit?
Tools that are in my planning toolkit include Excel, unfortunately. Mostly Excel, actually. Word.
So how do you pick the right tool?
Word, and even Microsoft Project. I love using Microsoft Project. Oh my gosh. But how do you pick the right tool? It depends. On something short like, let's say, off the top of my head, an RFIQ. A simple Excel spreadsheet that lists the sections and who's going to do what and when.
The sections in Randy's name.
Are we
Works.
making out on that?
Let's see. It helped when Randy did a whole bunch of sections that weren't his. So really, the plan is going according to plan.
That's your section?
No. One of John's maybe.
Whoever the genius was that gave me no sections, thank you.
But yes, no. It depends. Depends on the project.
Wait. We've already capped your use of depends.
So could you summarize the presentation as a yes, no, it depends?
I believe it's just. Any other questions?
Yeah. How long would it take to plan plane to land in plane?
It depends.
It depends.
And which tool would you use?
It depends.
Excel, because it's the only
It
tool you
depends,
have.
because understanding what your requirements are is key to any plan. If your requirements are to, let's say, have fun on vacation, having your wife plan out every single moment.
I'm letting her see this.
This is great. If your plans are to, fill your vacation back to back. Having a good plan is excellent.
I'm changing the name of this to passive aggressive attack on Max's wife. All right, any other
I
questions?
think we've asked enough.
All right. Thank you again, Max.
Thank